Welcome to Surviving the Side Hustle podcast, the place where expert-based business owners learn how to build momentum, avoid burnout, and create sustainable success on their own terms. I'm your host, Rob Tracz, strength and conditioning specialist turned founder and CEO of Prime Performance Coaching, the personal performance strategy firm for high-achieving business owners and operators. I partner with driven entrepreneurs to implement the Prime Performance process, an awareness-based operating system that's helped me and countless solopreneurs and small business owners evolve from just being high performers on the edge of burnout to prime performers building sustainable success. The impact of Prime Performance process has led me here, where I'll show you how to get unstuck and design your own Prime Performance life without sacrificing your health, relationships, or sanity. So whether you're hustling after hours or scaling your passion project, today and here you're going to get real stories, science-backed strategies, and practical frameworks to help you excel every step of your journey. It's time. Let's get intentional, build momentum, and become prime performers together. We'll get started just after this message. If you're an ambitious business owner or side hustler who's ready for a breakthrough, tired of spinning your wheels, looking to slide past burnout and build real momentum, I'd love to invite you to book a free Prime Performance strategy session with me or one of our strategists. This is your chance to get personalized insight on what's been holding you back and get a clear path to move forward. No fluff, just actionable strategy. So if you're interested, visit survivingthesidehustle.com/free call to request your spot now. Again, that's survivingthesidehustle.com/free call. Looking forward to helping you become a prime performer. What's going on, and welcome back to another Friday recap episode of Surviving the Side Hustle. Let me kick it off as usual, and then let me ask you something. What would it take for you to walk away from something that was already working pretty well? Not something that's failing, not something that's broken, something that's actually working. A business that pays the bills, a partnership that fits, a vehicle that's moving you forward. Most entrepreneurs will never voluntarily blow up something that's working. They'll wait for the universe to do it for them. And here's the truth. The entrepreneurs who reach a different level are the ones willing to dismantle what's working today to build what's possible tomorrow. And this week's guest on Surviving the Side Hustle did exactly that. This episode this week, I sat down with my good friend, Andre Carvalho. Andre is a real estate investor and acquisitions specialist who's in the middle of one of the boldest pivots I've ever seen up close. He spent the last several years building a successful real estate company with his business partner, Tyler. They had a great partnership. They got excellent results, and the two guys whose skill sets fit like a puzzle piece. By every external measure, they had something working, and Andre walked away from it by choice, specifically so he could build his own acquisitions company from scratch with a vision of generating 7 figures in active income and eventually managing $1 billion in assets. But before all this, Andre worked his way up to the operations manager at the National Kidney Registry, facilitating over 1,000 kidney transplants a year, earning 6 figures by his mid-20s. He cashed out his 4K, sold his car, and bet on himself. This week's conversation is all about what it actually takes to make those bets, and what most people get wrong about the difference between courage and recklessness. So go back and listen to the full episode if you haven't already, and if you already did, go back and re-watch or listen through this specific lens. Most people that I coach are stuck somewhere on the spectrum between I'm comfortable and I'm reckless. They're either coasting on something that's working but doesn't fit anymore, or they're already about to blow everything up without a plan because their gut said so. Andre's story is the middle path, the one almost nobody talks about. He didn't quit his 6-figure job impulsively. He spent 6 months researching. He scheduled 52 coffees. Yes, you heard that right, 52. With people in the industry he was trying to enter. He met his business partner Tyler online and vetted the partnership before committing. He calculated his runway, cashed out his assets, and then he took the leap. That's not recklessness, and that's not being comfortable. That's the disciplined middle. And it's the path that most entrepreneurs skip because it's slower than impulse and harder than coasting. Hold on to that as the through line for the rest of this recap. So, lesson number 1, courage is a plan. Recklessness is a feeling. Andre put words to something that I've been trying to articulate for years. He said his girlfriend recently asked him, "Are you sure you're doing this responsibly?" And he had to sit with that question because from the outside, leaving a working partnership to build solo looks identical to a guy throwing his life away on a hunch. But the difference is, Andre said, comes down to one thing. Did you put a plan in place or did you just hope? Here's how he broke it down. Recklessness is quitting your job because you're fed up and trusting it'll work. Courage is betting on yourself after you've stress tested the bet. Talked to people, gathered information, built a runway, tried the thing on the side, tested whether anyone actually wants what you're selling. The 52 coffees aren't a flex. They're proof of a method. Before Andre left his cushy job, he sat across from nearly 50 people in the industry that he was trying to get into, collecting inputs, pressure testing his thesis, finding out what he didn't already know. And here's what most people miss. Courage and recklessness look the exact same to outsiders. They both involve leaving something stable, and they both involve risks. The difference is invisible to everyone except the person making the bet, because the difference lives in the preparation. Let me put it in terms that you'll feel. If you're thinking about leaving your job, launching a product, exiting a partnership, moving cities, or anything that looks like a leap from the outside, the question isn't whether to do it. The question is whether you've done the work to make it courage instead of recklessness. And here's where Andre's framing got really sharp. He said, you can also overthink it. You can be in the planning phase forever and never actually jump. The goal isn't to plan for a year. The goal is to take maybe a month, really sit with it, talk to people, get a taste of the thing, and then go. Plans don't survive contact with reality anyway. But when you need a plan to even know what to pivot from, that's exactly why my flag framework from Principle of Clarity really exists. The whole step-by-step process into it, but the simplest thing for you is before you set sail on any new adventure, you have to know the direction that you're actually pointed in. The flag tells you where you're going, and the flag isn't a guess or a vibe. It's a deliberate choice made with open eyes. Without it, every wind feels like the right wind, which is another way of just saying you're not sailing, you're drifting. Courage is a plan. Recklessness is a feeling. From the outside, they look the same. From the inside, they're built completely differently. If you're about to make a big move and you're not sure which one you're making, that's your right answer. Lesson number 2 to take home from a conversation with Andre is the thing that's working can be the thing that's holding you back. This is the part of the conversation that I think every entrepreneur in a successful partnership, business, or job needs to hear. Andre's partnership with Tyler was working. He said it on the mic. Tyler is one of his best friends, phenomenal partner, great family man, the skill sets meshed, the business was profitable, there was no fight, no betrayal, no collapse, and Andre still walked away. His reason was this. He said he started to realize Tyler had become a bit of a crutch for him, and he was a bit of a crutch for Tyler. They were each doing the things the other was bad at, which sounds like the dream partnership on paper, but Andre felt that staying meant neither of them would ever develop the skills that the other one was trying to, or one was actually carrying. He wasn't leaving because the partnership was broken. He was leaving because the partnership was so good. It was preventing him from becoming who he needed to be. Now, let me translate that because that idea is going to land for somebody listening right now. If you're in a comfortable job that pays well and doesn't grow you, that's not security. That's a slow erosion of your capacity to ever do anything else. If you're in a partnership where you're quietly outsourced half of the business that you're scared of, that's not collaboration. That's a comfort zone with 2 people inside it. If you're in a season of life where everything is fine and nothing is hard, that's not balance. That's the slow drift before the wake-up call. And here's the brutal part for you. The thing that's holding you back doesn't always look like a problem. Sometimes it looks like a paycheck. Sometimes it looks like a partner. Sometimes it looks like a system you built that runs so well you've stopped needing to learn anything new to keep it running. The hardest moves to make in business aren't the ones where something is broken. They're the ones where something is working. And you have to admit that working isn't the same as growing. This is the core idea around prime principle on optimization. The framework that I teach there is going at your own pace. And it's all about sustainable growth and how it requires you to honestly evaluate whether your current pace is building you or just maintaining you. Maintenance feels productive. Maintenance feels safe, but maintenance is where capacity goes to die. Every season, you have to ask whether you're doing this is actually building you towards that next version of yourself or just keeping the current version alive. Lesson number 3 for you guys is sales is just a well-had conversation. I asked Andre what most entrepreneurs misunderstand about sales, and his answer reframed the whole topic for me. He said, most people hear salesperson and immediately think slimy or pushy, manipulative, or the cliche, the guy at the used car dealership, or the cold caller, the closer who won't take no for an answer kind of guy. But Andre said sales is actually just communication. If you have a product that solves a real problem and you're talking to a person who has that problem, sales is just the natural conclusion of a well-had conversation. You have what they want. You want to give it to them, and your job is you have to have a real conversation that uncovers whether those two things actually match or not. That's it. That's the whole game. The reason most entrepreneurs are bad at sales isn't because they're not pushy enough. It's because they're trying to convince instead of communicate. So let me say that again because I want it to really land for you. The reason you're bad at sales isn't because you're not aggressive enough. It's because you're trying to make the sale happen instead of letting it happen through a real conversation where you actually understand what the person in front of you needs. Here's where it gets uncomfortable for a lot of entrepreneurs listening to this. Andre said he's building his entire next business around being the one who closes the deals, not hiring a salesperson, not outsourcing it, not hiding behind operations. And why might he be doing this? Because sales is leverage on every other skill you can ever develop. If you want a promotion, that's selling yourself. Want a partner to fund your vision? That's sales. Want your team to buy into the mission? Again, it's sales. Want your kids to listen when it really matters? Yes, again, that is sales too. If you can't communicate an idea in a way that moves people, you have a ceiling on every part of your life, not just business. And Andre said something I want you to hear. He said, sales is the harder path. It would be easier to hire it out. It would be a lot easier to stay in the back office where he's already strong. But he's choosing the harder path on purpose because the skill compounds for the rest of life. And the version of him with the sales mastered can do things that current vision cannot. This is the part of the exact tension I unpacked in my recent TEDx talk. Are we optimizing ourselves into burnout? You can move fast in the areas where you're already strong and never actually grow. Real growth happens when you choose the harder path because it builds the part of you that's been missing. That's not slower. That's actually the only way to get to the next level. Sales isn't a personality. It's a skill. And it's the most portable, compounding skill any entrepreneur can build. If you've been outsourcing it because you don't like sales, that's the exact reason that you should be practicing and doing it more. And the last takeaway that I have for you guys today is business is a game. Play to win, not to suffer through it. This last one really snuck up on me, but I think it might be the most important reframe of the entire episode. Andre says something about 3/4 of the way through that really stopped me cold. He said, business is just a game. Money is just how you keep score. And he was clear. He said he didn't always feel that way. He used to be deadly serious about it. Everything had to be perfect. Everything had to be professional, and everything had to look a certain way. He was carrying the weight of every decision like it was life or death. Then he started getting into rooms with people who had built what he was trying to build. And the thing he kept noticing wasn't their tactics or their strategy. It was their energy. They were having fun. They were curious. They were playing. The shift was really that simple. He stopped treating business like a war and started treating it like a game, and his performance went up, not down. Most entrepreneurs are working too hard because they've forgotten they chose this. They're treating the business like it's something that's happening to them instead of something that they get to play. Here's why this matters to you. If you're stressed, anxious, gripping the wheel, your performance is already compromised. Tight hands miss the shot. A clenched jaw can't close a deal. A founder treating every quarter like a courtroom verdict isn't operating from the highest level. They're operating from their most fearful one. The entrepreneurs that I've seen build sustainable, meaningful businesses don't carry less weight than the burnt out ones. They just hold it differently. They've made a quiet decision that the game is worth playing because the game itself is the point, not the finish line. Not the exit, not the trophy. And here's the secret. When you start treating it like a game, you start playing better. You take smarter risks. You bounce back from the losses faster. You stop confusing setbacks with identity. You stop letting bad months convince you that you're a fraud. This is honestly the soul of what I teach in Prime Principle of Opportunity. It's really where around the whole formula for creating your own luck. And the idea is that luck in business isn't random. It's a natural byproduct of someone who's loose enough and curious enough and playing enough to see opportunities the gripped up entrepreneur misses entirely. You can't engineer luck if you're playing scared. The game opens up the moment you let it become a game. And here's what I really want you to walk out of this episode recap with. The version of you that built what you have today is not the version of you that's going to build what's next. And the move isn't to grind harder in the same direction. The move is to honestly ask yourself, is what's working still the thing that fits? Is the partnership still the path? Is the comfort still the cost I'm willing to pay? Because the entrepreneurs who reach a different level aren't the ones who outsuffer everybody else. They're the ones who, every season, give themselves permission to dismantle what's working in service of who they're trying to become. That takes courage. It takes a plan, and it takes the willingness to let this is working stop and stop being the most important thing about your life. So if anything that Andre said in that entire guest interview hit or landed with you, and especially if you're someone who's been thinking about getting into real estate or building an acquisition strategy or just wants to follow a guy who's building a public, full transparency, you'll want to follow his journey. And you can find Andre on social media, Instagram and LinkedIn. He's active and sharing the build in real time. He's also writing a book called Deal Flow about what consistent opportunity creation actually looks like. So keep your eyes out for that as well. Andre, dude, if you're listening to this recap, again, thank you so much for coming on. Our conversation was a gift, and I'm really looking forward to a part 2. So, and everybody else, I want to leave you with a simple answer that Andre gave in the episode. I asked him at the end, if someone wants to scale aggressively, but they're afraid of the risks, what would you tell them? He said, 3 words, do it anyways. That's it. No nuance, no qualifications, just do it anyways. Because here's the truth. The people who never start are protecting themselves from a failure that's only imagined, while guaranteeing themselves a failure that's real. The failure to ever find out who you could have been. Whatever it is that you're sitting on right now, the move, the pivot, the conversation you've been avoiding, that bet that you're going to place on yourself, do it anyways. Have a plan, so don't be reckless. But for the love of everything, stop waiting for the moment when fear goes away. It's not. The move comes first. The clarity comes after. And I'll catch you guys next Tuesday with a new guest interview. But until then, stay sharp, stay aligned, and keep surviving the side hustle. That's all for today's episode of Surviving the Side Hustle. If you found value here, please don't forget to rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening from. And please create a shared success by helping us share this episode with someone who you think would benefit from today's conversation. And finally, don't forget to connect with us at survivingthesidehustle.com and give us a follow on socials so that we can take part in following along in your entrepreneurial journey. Until next time, remember, success doesn't require a complete sacrifice, just strategy, momentum, and the right support.